Bro, you're looking at going to prison for the rest of your life, you know? Because the way it looks is it looks like you broke into this house, you kidnapped this man, and you held him hostage for 2 hours.
At this moment, Billy Phillips, a convicted felon with a dark past, comes to a grim realization. He's going to prison for the rest of his life.
You have his card in your wallet. You cashed his checks that you forged to yourself the day he was murdered.
Billy stands accused of the murder of his former boss, 66-year-old Jeffrey Biddle. Jeffrey was found shot dead in his home on June 23, 2021, with incriminating evidence placing Billy at the scene.
Or that you were there.
I was there, but I didn't kill him.
Billy has a story, but what he reveals is far more monstrous. As the case unfolds, they uncover a shocking twist that changes everything.
Are you a monster?
No, I'm not a monster.
Okay, are you a cold-blooded killer?
On June 24, 2021, an associate of Jeffrey Biddle grew concerned when he failed to show up for work. Upon visiting Jeffrey's home, they discovered troubling signs: a flat tire on his car, his wallet left open with missing cash and credit cards, and his cell phone on the kitchen island, with no sign of Jeffrey anywhere. Shortly after, the concerned coworker placed a 911 call, bringing police to the scene.
County Police, Mr. Biddle!
Upon reaching Jeffrey's house, the detectives made a grim discovery: Jeffrey's lifeless body lying on the floor of the basement.
I have one 22 caliber casing on the floor.
Oh, okay.
A lot of blood. Looks like he thrashed around a lot.
Detectives discovered that Jeffrey's business partners had access to his finances and asked to have his accounts reviewed, looking for any signs of suspicious activity. The search revealed a check to an ex-employee, Billy Phillips, dated June 20th, 2021, with more checks issued around Jeffrey's death. With this evidence, detectives arrested Billy on June 29th, 2021, and brought him in for questioning.
All right, Billy. You know why they're here?
Not exactly.
What do you mean by not exactly? Do you have some idea?
They told me I was under arrest and that I would be talked to when I got here.
They didn't tell you what you're under arrest for?
No, sir.
Did they tell you you had a warrant?
They did.
But they didn't tell you what it was about?
No, sir.
Okay. You don't have any idea what it would be about? So you're here about some checks that you deposited. Okay.
Okay.
Have you deposited any checks lately?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Why do you sound like that?
I could explain it to you, but you probably wouldn't get it.
Well, why don't you try? Because I've heard a lot of shit. So maybe I would.
I deposited checks that I shouldn't have deposited, mainly out of desperation with new baby on the way and back was against the wall.
Whose checks did you deposit?
Steve Willard's.
Steve Willard's. Did they go through or did they bounce?
They went through.
Okay. How much were they for?
Normally like 25.
Okay. How did you come into possession of the checks?
Again, let's. Some of the checks I already had
Okay.
in my possession. They were given to me, and then certain things happened.
So you mean they were like legitimate checks that he wrote to you?
They were given to me in case of emergencies.
The detective presses on about the checks, hoping to make Billy nervous by showing that they know more than he might think. Soon enough, it's time to address the elephant in the room.
Who's Jeff Biddle?
Guy I used to work for.
You ever cash any of his checks?
I have.
Have you ever forged any checks from Jeff to yourself?
Twice.
Okay, when was that?
I don't even know when that was.
What do you mean I know when that was?
It was recently.
How recent?
Last week.
Okay. It's kind of timing, isn't it? That's kind of timing, isn't it? How do you know Jeff? You said you used to work for him?
Yes.
This is kind of like a printout. I'll see if I can get you a better one, but do you recognize that picture?
Yes, sir.
So this one is a check that you deposited into an ATM at the Navy Federal over in Crown.
Yes.
Okay. I know it's kind of hard to make it out over here. Here's a better picture of it. It's for $9,500.
Yes, sir.
Okay, you deposited it on. It looks like you can't read it here very well, but it's on June 23rd, which was last Wednesday, at 11:53 p.m.
The fright on Billy's face is undeniable as the detective lays out the images of backdated checks he had written for Jeffrey's account to himself. It is now clear to him that the detectives are onto him, and with this trail of checks, he's caught like a deer in headlights.
Okay, this one you deposited, I believe, with the teller on June 23rd for $4,450. June 23rd, Navy Federal. There's no time on here, but I believe it was somewhere around 1 o'clock. Could be wrong about that. I mean, I have the records, but... Where did you get those checks?
What, Jeff's checks?
Mm-hmm.
It's just where I'm real scared right this second.
Okay. Why are you scared?
And I mean, you've been nice to me. Everybody's been nice. I want to talk to my fiance.
Okay.
Okay.
I can see about that. So, I can see you're getting kind of emotional. So, I'm just going to ask, you know what happened to Jeff, right?
I do, and that was, I didn't do anything.
Okay. Well, I'm going to stop you there. We'll talk about that in a second. Okay? We'll get to that in a second. Alright? Bill, you seem like a nice guy, man. Like, there's nothing personal going on here. Okay? Like, I'm not being nice to you as an act. I don't think anybody's been nice to you as an act. If you were, I would be one.
I understand.
Okay?
The detective subtly hints at the damning evidence he's holding back, hoping to pressure Billy into revealing the truth himself. A truth so unsettling that it stops the detectives in their tracks, changing the case forever.
But why is Jeff's card in your wallet? See, Billy, the thing is that things happen and things have happened, okay? And everything that happens for a reason, you know? And, you know, Jeff's dead, okay? and somebody killed him. It was a murder. Okay? And I know that you were there. And I can prove it. I can prove it to you right here that you were there. But before we get there, okay, like, everybody has all this nice about Jeff. You know what I mean? Like, that's really the story here that we have so far, is how nice of a guy Jeff is, and how, like, I can't believe he had no enemies. I can't believe anybody would do this to him. And there's a reason what happened to him. I'm not saying because, like, he was a bad guy and made enemies with you or anybody else, okay?
Jeffrey was shot 4 times. 2 non-fatal wounds struck his back and upper right chest. It was the final 2 shots, one to the head and another to the left temple at point-blank range, that sealed his fate. Investigators found no signs of a struggle, leading them to believe Jeffrey was too terrified to fight back or was taken by surprise. But rather than the barbarity of the shooting, it was the motive behind this unthinkable crime that left detectives truly stunned.
122. It looks like a 22.
Okay. But you don't see that.
No, I don't see the weapon unless he's laying on top of it. But again, he thrashed around a lot.
Oh boy.
And it starts back over there. Now that I've stepped on their stuff, I'll keep stepping.
Well, there's a big pool right by his feet.
Yeah, there's a big pool over here where it coagulated back behind his head.
Okay.
I got a little bit of tissue underneath the staircase. Over near the sump pump.
But, you know, obviously, like, you're in a situation in your life where there's a certain level of desperation. Okay? I know Steve Willard fired you. You know, whether it was because you did something wrong or he was going crazy is kind of irrelevant.
Well, he didn't. Right.
Well, his HR got rid of you. Okay? Again, whether it was for a legitimate reason or not, that still puts you in a situation financially. You got a new kid on the way. And you're strapped for cash. Okay? So I can completely understand, you know, like, how you're in this spot. You have a history, obviously, with Steve of stealing checks or, you know, writing fraudulent checks. Jeff's got money. You go there with the intention of taking his checks, and maybe he's home when he's not supposed to be, and something happens. You know, maybe you're like, you know, you did prison time, right, in Virginia. You don't want to go back to prison, and it's out of control and out of hand. That's a very different story than, like, you know, Billy's a monster that went to Jeff's house and brutally murdered him for no reason. Okay, those are 2 very different stories.
In 2008, Billy was convicted of robbing a bank in Virginia Beach, committing an audacious crime where he leaped over the counter after a hesitant teller failed to comply. For that, he served 7 years behind bars. Upon his release in 2015, he found work in the IT field, but financial struggles continued to haunt him.
So these records are from Jeff's phone, okay? Go ahead in a second. Have the scoop close to you? All right, so I want you to look at the date, okay? So 6/22, that's the day before Jeff was killed, okay? This is at 10:20 p.m. Probably goes to sleep sometime after here, okay? 6:23 at 5:55 a.m. He Googles Good Day Sunshine, which is a song.
Okay.
All right. 6:23, 5:55, Good Day Sunshine. He searches for it again. 6:23, 2021, YouTube. 6:23, 5:55, Good Day Sunshine. He's listening to the song. Here he starts listening to the Beatles. Here Comes the Sun. Here Comes the Sun. Back to YouTube at 6 o'clock. Here at 6 o'clock. Then right here, 6:23, that's 6:59 a.m. What's that? Can you read that?
SunTrust.
He goes to his SunTrust account.
Okay.
Right here, same exact time, he probably clicked another link on his SunTrust account, okay?
Okay.
This is from his phone. Put that aside for a second. Here's his call logs. All right. 6:22, 6:22, these are all incoming calls. 6:23 at 7:58 a.m. He makes a call to that number. Do you know what that number is?
Hmm.
It's SunTrust.
Okay.
This is the only time that Jeff Biddle has called SunTrust from his cell phone going back to 2018.
Okay.
Okay? This is the last phone call his cell phone makes. Okay?
All right.
Now I want to move on for a second. Let me show you the bottom half. This is a forwarded email. The top half was forwarded to my partner. Okay? At 9:07 a.m., an email goes from Jeff to some of the membership of PSI.
After Jeffrey's murder, his phone was used to send an email to his coworkers, claiming he wouldn't be coming to work that day. But the deception fell flat, as many of his colleagues knew Jeffrey had plans that morning.
I guess the detective is coming here. They want to do all the interviews. So, because some weird stuff, like they said that he sent an email to them yesterday that said, I'm going to be off today for a family emergency. But he was already, he was already not to be in the office. So they were like, that was just really weird.
Had a family emergency come up this morning. More than likely we've out of reach today. Apologize for the short email and we'll be in touch when I can. Thanks, Jeff. So when they got this email, immediately became suspicious because Jeff wasn't supposed to work on this day. What I know about Jeff and what I'm sure you know about him is that he's a workaholic. So he's always at work. Well, he took off on Wednesday the 23rd. He was going on a date with this girl he just started dating. They were supposed to be going all day. So right away, the company is like, you know what I mean? Like, that's weird. And then Thursday comes around and he doesn't show up for work. And that's when the police get called and he's found dead. All right. But a couple of things about this email that I think are pretty important. So whoever wrote this email would have to know enough about Jeff and the company to know who to send it to, but not know enough to know that Jeff wasn't supposed to work or be in touch at all on Wednesday anyways. You see what I mean by that?
Mm-hmm.
This is just another copy of the email. What kind of car were you driving today?
White Beamer. X3.
Whose car is that?
Marie's.
Marie's. Is it it's registered to like her dad or something, right?
Yes.
You were driving, I think 2 days ago, we had you on video with Sunoco too driving. You drive that car often?
Yes.
Okay. So the times on this camera are a tad off. You know how some of those cameras can be? But at 7:02 a.m., this car goes by Jeff's house. So this camera is the corner house, which is the one next to Jeff's.
Okay.
So this is Jeff's street. Okay? So right around the same time that SunTrust website, accesses this car, which right now, I can't see the tag on this, okay? But that's your car. I know it's your car. Going by. Then, that email sent at 9:07. All right? No other emails or any text messages go out from Jeff's phone. $9:20 in the morning. It's a bad picture because it's a still shot I took from a video, okay? But this is you.
In the days following the murder, Billy deposited 3 checks, unaware that bank surveillance cameras had captured every transaction. But even more damning evidence against Billy was about to come to light.
So that's how I know that you were there when Jeff was killed. So the question is, like I said, did you go there and kill him because you have me fooled and you're just a monster? Or did you go there because you're desperate for something and things got out of hand? And this is your opportunity, to tell that side of the story. They say there's 2 sides to every story. Well, if the side that I had was favorable to you already, you wouldn't be here. You know what I'm saying? So this is it, man. This is your shot to tell us what happened. I know what happened. I don't know all the details. I don't know how it happened. I don't know why it happened. But this is your chance to maybe put a little bit of an explanation on it because people want to know and people are going to be asking. And it matters. Maybe there's a reason for why what happened. Or maybe there isn't. But there's only 2 people who know the answer to that, and one of them's dead.
And the other one's a convicted felon.
I don't care that you're a convicted felon at all. That has nothing to do with why you're here. You know, I mean, like, I don't, like, yes, you're a convicted felon, you're a convicted bank robber, but that was a long time ago. Okay? And you're not here because I was like, oh, Billy did a bank robbery, he must have killed Jeff.
No.
You're here because everything lines up. The evidence puts you there. I mean, that also goes to show that, like, this wasn't some pre-planned out horrific thing. Like, you did an awful job. If it, you know what I mean, if this is a pre-planned thing. But it looks bad because you're a big dude. You're 36 years old. He's a 66-year-old man killed in his house. It looks bad, man. You know? And you're wearing the same clothes that you're wearing at the bank. You're wearing the same clothes that you're wearing on that video. You know, like, nothing here looks good for you.
Billy chooses silence over defending himself, a telling sign of guilt. Yet detectives press on, warning him that the truth is inevitable and time is running out. But just around the corner, a shocking twist was about to change everything.
You know, there's no question that you did this. There isn't, or that you were there.
I was there, but I didn't kill him.
So what happened? If you were there but you didn't kill him, what happened?
And this is the part that just...
So that's you on video. What happened? Was somebody else with you?
No.
Okay. Did he shoot himself?
No.
Okay. I know he didn't shoot himself because of where he was shot and how many times he was shot. So what happened? I know he was alive between 6 and 7. I know what time you got there. Okay? I know he didn't make that call to SunTrust unless he did it because you made him do it. You have his card in your wallet. You cashed his checks that you forged to yourself the day he was murdered. And I'm not yelling at you to yell at you or being, but like, I'm trying to get it through your head that, like, this is up. You know, and I'm giving you the chance to tell me what happened. Because you know, if you don't give me the chance, if you don't tell me what happened, you know what it looks like. And you know what they're going to say. You know, I can't make you any promises, man, but, like, you're looking at, like, this is serious. You think your bank robbery was bad? How much time did you do for that? 7. You think that was bad? Bro, you're looking at going to prison for the rest of your life. You know? Because the way it looks is it looks like you broke into this house, you kidnapped this man, and you held him hostage for 2 hours and murdered him in cold blood, and then cashed his checks on not only the day of the murder, but 2 days later.
Billy went prepared, bringing a gun and disabling Jeffrey's car to ensure there was no escape. This wasn't a crime of impulse. It was a calculated act of murder.
You took his checks, you took his card, and probably his cash. And he's dead. I mean, that doesn't look good. Are you a monster?
No, I'm not a monster.
Okay. Are you a cold-blooded killer?
No.
Okay. Then something happened. You know, maybe something got out of hand. Maybe Jeff, you got there, Jeff fought back. You know, I don't know. Maybe you're like, this guy knows me, like, I don't want to go back to prison, and just went south, you know, and you shot him once, and then you're like, well, fuck, I gotta kill him now.
I don't even have a gun.
Then how are you there and he ends up shot 4 times? Maybe he had the gun. You know, like, that's what I'm saying, Billy, is like, you're a convicted felon, and I don't say that to be, I say that because I know how hard it can be for a convicted felon to get a gun. You know, so it totally makes sense that you wouldn't have a gun. Maybe he had the gun. Maybe you went to his house, there's a disagreement, he pulls out a gun, you're a big dude, you get it away from him, and maybe that's what happened. But, like, you're not giving me that. I mean, I just spun that up in my head, but I see how that could be a possibility. But you're not giving me that. What it looks like is that you went there with a gun and you killed him. So if that's not what happened, tell me. Because this is the only shot you're going to have.
Pete, I'm scared to death right this second.
Okay.
Okay.
Let's talk about that.
I want to trust you. Okay. I do.
Okay.
And legitimately, I have an explanation.
Okay.
It's not great. It's still bad.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, then what you need to do is trust yourself. You don't need to worry about trusting me. Okay.
But you're asking me, okay,
Mm-hmm.
and you know every single time, hell, even Willard told me, you know, to not say anything and ask for an attorney. But I've always felt that, you know, just talking to somebody, you know, being upfront is always the better option. But
Well, Billy, the thing is, man, is like.
And I don't want to be labeled as a monster because I'm not a monster.
So that's what I'm telling you, bro.
But they're already labeling me a monster.
Nobody's labeled you anything. Okay? It's just me and you here. Okay?
Billy's internet search history painted an even more chilling picture of premeditation. Among his queries, can a bottle work as a silencer? Will tape on a muzzle brake help with noise? Will the ringing from a gunshot go away? Will Face ID work with your eyes closed? These searches left little doubt that Billy wasn't just planning to rob Jeffrey. He was prepared to use deadly force.
I'm not a monster, Pete.
Well, tell me.
Pete, what I did was rob him, but I didn't kill him. Okay? I did not kill anybody.
So what happened? How did you get into the house? You said the front door. It was unlocked. So you let yourself into the house.
I can't do it. I can't do it.
Where did you park the car?
I need an attorney, Pete. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I know this just makes me mad now.
It doesn't make me mad at all.
But yeah, it does. I know it does.
Do I look mad?
Billy refuses to reveal what happened that night. He knows there's no way to craft a believable story that explains the forensic evidence without incriminating himself. With no way out, it makes the one and only move left. He asks for a lawyer.
So what's going to happen? Have you ever been arrested in Maryland before?
No, sir.
Okay. So you're going to go from here to the commissioner's office, like it said in the form that I read you. Where you're going to get a copy of your arrest warrant. You're going to hear your charges and all that. You know, and then just kind of go from there.
Yes, sir.
You'll see if they give you a bond or not. But I can't imagine that they will. Just, you know, being honest with you. Okay? Alright, I'll get a number for you before we get out of here.
Where will I be able to call her from?
When you get to the central processing unit, you'll be able to call her there. Okay.
Thank you, Pete.
Yep.
Despite Billy's request for a lawyer, detectives were confident in their case. He was charged with first-degree murder and held without bail. Investigators believed that Billy, driven by resentment, intended to steal checks but unexpectedly encountered Jeffrey, leading to a terrifying ordeal in the basement before his death. On May 1st, 2023, Montgomery County Circuit Judge Carla Smith found Billy Phillips guilty of the murder of Jeffrey Biddle and sentenced him to life in prison for murder, with an additional 65 years for home invasion, armed robbery, and the use of a firearm in a violent felony. This case stands among the most chilling. Billy Phillips had a history of escalating criminal behavior, resorting to crime whenever life took a downturn. But his final act was the most heinous of all: the murder of Jeffrey Biddle, a man known for his kindness. Was Billy driven purely by greed, or was he always a cold-blooded killer? Please share your thoughts on this case in the comments section below. Also, like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more such content.